In the vast, turbulent ecosystem of the modern world, there is a force that governs every aspect of our survival. It is not the weather nor the seasons, but the flow of capital. For many, the movement of money is a chaotic storm, a relentless cycle of earning and vanishing. But amidst this financial wilderness, there exists a blueprint, a strategy for order. It is known as the 50-30-20 rule. To understand this framework, we must first look at its architect. Before she was a titan of the American Senate, Elizabeth Warren was a scholar of law, observing the wreckage of families caught in the jaws of bankruptcy. In 2005, alongside her daughter, Amelia Warren Taggy, she codified a lifeline for the middle class. It was not merely a budget, it was a philosophy designed to protect the individual from the spending traps of a consumerist landscape. Let us examine the anatomy of this rule. It begins with the net, the after-tax income that reaches a person's hands. From this pool of resources, the rule demands a strict tripartite division. First, the foundation, 50%. This is the needs bucket. These are the non-negotiables, the shelter over one's head, the warmth of the hearth, the sustenance on the table. In this category, we find rent, utilities, insurance, and the minimum payments required to keep the debt collectors at bay. It is the heavy machinery of existence. If this pillar exceeds 50%, the entire structure begins to lean.
Then we find the wants, 30%. This is the heartbeat of life. It is the coffee shared with a friend, the digital narratives we stream into our homes, the journey to a distant shore. Some might call these luxuries, but the rule recognizes them as essential for the human spirit. Yet it is a delicate balance. Without discipline, the wants can become an invasive species, consuming the resources meant for survival. Finally, the shield, 20%. This is the portion dedicated to the future self. In the financial world, this is known as paying yourself first. It is the construction of an emergency fund, a cache of resources for the lean times. It is the aggressive repayment of high-interest debt, and the quiet, steady accumulation of retirement accounts. This 20% is the difference between a life of precariousness and a life of sovereignty. But even the most robust structures face the erosion of reality. In the towering metropolises of New York or San Francisco, the 50-30-20 rule faces a harsh climate. Here, the HCOL, the high cost of living, acts as a predator. When housing alone consumes half of one's income, the needs bucket overflows, leaving the other categories starved. We must also acknowledge the income floor. For those on the margins, whose every penny is a struggle for bread, a 30% allocation for ones is a fantasy. For them, survival is 100%. The rule, while elegant, is not a universal law of nature. It is a target.
As we look to the horizon, the rule is evolving. In an era of rising inflation and disappearing pensions, some financial explorers are pushing further. They speak of 40-20-40 splits, prioritizing a 40% savings rate to weather the coming storms. The 50-30-20 rule is not a cage. It is a compass. It reminds us that while we must live for today, we must also preserve tomorrow. By categorizing the chaos, we gain something far more valuable than wealth. We gain clarity. In the great ledger of life, the numbers may change, but the goal remains the same: to live with intention, to survive, and ultimately, to thrive.